Welcome to the Regular Joe's Podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
What's going on, everybody? Fill in answer here. I hope you listened to our last show, the Rhode Island Comic Con. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's either the 8th or 9th time we've been there, as we said on the show 1,000 times.
Oh, wait, is that Gigi Edley?
Yeah. One of those people was Gigi Edley. That's all I know.
Yeah, the one we saw on the show floor on Saturday.
Yeah,
Not any of the ones we saw in the
4
lobby.
4 hours earlier. Yep.
I don't know. But it's always a good time. Thanks for listening to that if you haven't. I mean, it's a little... I feel like most of the shows are just for us, but that one's probably more for us than anybody. But we had a good time.
Or if you're enjoying it, also just for us and you. So
yeah.
Yes.
If you're enjoying it, yeah.
And one thing I will say, and it used to happen more often, it doesn't happen very often anymore, but you should listen all the way to the end, because occasionally we tack something on at the end of the show that we don't mention is going to be there. And some listeners hear it. So our friend Eben actually wrote us a note saying that he thought the post-credit bit at the end of that last show was Regular Joe's Gold. This is literally what he said.
that was the drunk woman.
And that's what happens when you... So the thing at this hotel is there's a ton of Comic Con fans, and there's always something else going on. It's like a psychologist convention. It's a teacher's convention.
There was a football game in town one year.
Yep. Football, the Steelers were...
Yep.
Yeah.
And everyone who goes to the normal things are always drunk. And it always is good
utterly
for
baffled by what else is going on. Okay? It's like they've totally not seen any signs or anything like that, and they're just totally baffled by people walking around in costumes and stuff.
Well, so if you've missed the end of the show, the very end of the show last week, go back and listen. I will say it's our version of Madison with a Y from...
yes, totally.
From She-Hulk. Yep. So, yeah, the final interview of the show was at the very, very end after the closing theme song.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have no idea how someone has a wedding on the 3rd floor where Comic-Con is happening on every other floor and they didn't know it.
Totally unaware of that.
Yeah, but always a good time. Always a good hang. Good hang. So today, we all saw Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We're going to talk about that. If you haven't seen it, there'll be spoilers, blah, 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 blah.
And we have not talked about it even amongst ourselves yet, so this will be the first reactions for all of us.
So you have a week. If you haven't seen it and you want to see it, don't listen yet. If you don't know if you want to see it, listen and we'll tell you what to think. But whatever. But let's go some random... Todd, what do you got?
I don't really have much of anything. I got to say, I keep reading articles about what they're going to do at DC with films, and I think I read like 7 or 8 articles in last week that had no specifics whatsoever, but they're really pushing, like they're really trying to hype that there's something amazing going to happen.
It's only been like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
and that's what but again, it's just... everybody is talking about it, and everybody's trying to get information.
Well, it's 2 weeks since the announcement, but they made that announcement well after they knew what they were doing. I mean, like you would not necessarily meaning that they're going to share it yet, but like they should internally have a good idea of what they're doing by now, even if they haven't publicly announced it.
Interestingly, though,
James Gunn is putting up pictures of stuff. I don't exactly know what any of it was.
They're not saying no to any. If there are any direct questions they're asked, they're like ruling out nothing, and it sounds like they're really trying to get buzz going. They're talking about going big and, doing basically owning it and saying, we're going to do what we should have done a decade ago and dive right in. And so
never too late.
They've got a roadmap.
Maybe they'll be the next 12 years of Marvel, and Marvel movies will suck.
Yeah.
We'll find out later.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they did or didn't, but...
You're saying we'll find out later.
The Eternals and stuff and Thor...
I also read a couple articles you guys won't talk about this, with them trying to get speculation on whether or not the Eternals 2 is dead. And they're interviewing various cast members, and everyone's got excitement to do it again, but it really sounds like that whole project is very much back.
I've got an idea. Why don't we let Rian Johnson direct Eternals too? Because
yes, let's do that.
He's never going to direct his Star Wars movies, so he might as well direct a Marvel movie.
And then for 2 years we can talk about it, and then he can be removed from the project, and they can never discuss it again.
Yeah, sorry, I always got to get a Rian Johnson dig in every episode.
Yeah,
fine by me. Barry, what do you got?
Well, I was going to go with... I'll come back to the other one. Just because we're talking about movies that aren't happening or that get announced or whatever. I just read another Deadline announced that Sean Levy is in talks to develop and direct a Star Wars movie after he does Deadpool 3. Isn't this like 2 weeks after we said that Kathleen Kennedy was basically told to stop announcing?
I have that on my list.
She's not the one that announced this, but...
Stop announcing things. And they keep announcing things.
She didn't, but I don't know where Deadline got this from. They have no other information other than that he's potentially going to do this, but... I could say Dave Pisani's going to potentially direct and write a Star Wars movie.
Is this like a publicist thing? Is this like as soon as it, somebody has a meeting with you, your publicist tries to get it out there and make it into something?
If this guy doesn't have enough buzz with Deadpool 3,
I know. With the whole Wolverine and Deadpool thing, like get that done. And that's been the curse that that's almost a negative. Everybody that had a big movie in development or that was currently shooting that got tied to a Star Wars movie, their movie flopped. So, let's hope that's not the case.
It could also be that they want to tie up his next film. I mean, that could very well be because these projects do take so long, but still.
I wouldn't want to announce if it was me. Or when it's me, and I know I'm down somewhere on the list, I'm not going to announce it until cameras are rolling.
Yeah. And even then, it's not safe. There's been a couple people who rolled cameras and got yanked out of their movie.
Here's the first day slate, directed by Dave Pisani. Here's the second day slate, directed by somebody else. It's
Ron Howard has been brought in to replace Dave Pisani as the director.
I know. Well, I worked on a movie, and I probably told this story. So I worked on Mermaids, 90s movie, and it was supposed to be directed by Lasse Hallström. He's a guy who did some oddball movies, but didn't make sense. And then they brought in Frank Oz, and he lasted 2 weeks. That's why we were filming. And then they brought in, who's the guy? The guy from Westworld. What's his face? Why am I drawing a blank? Paula Prentice's husband. I'm remembering his wife's name. And
it's amazing. You remember the two guys that got removed?
Richard Benjamin?
What's the guy's name?
Richard Benjamin.
Richard Benjamin, thank you. So anyway, he finished
I was
the movie.
never on set. And I was able to come up with Richard Benjamin.
I didn't know why I'm drawing a blank.
Quark, people.
Anyway,
Quark.
And I wish I asked him
the
about
Quark actor. I would have known it right
that's
away.
Right.
I wouldn't. Yeah. I wish I asked him about Westworld, but I didn't. Anyway, at the end, as a wrap gift, Cher gave him a leather binder because he used to carry his script in literally one of those paper school binders, the really cheap ones, and it was taped up with masking tape. So she gave him a leather script binder, and it had Lasse Hallström crossed out, Frank Oz crossed out, and then his name
that's awesome.
underneath it, which I thought was great. So that will be what happens.
Good deed, a good sense of humor at least.
Yeah, funny. What do I have? Okay, so I had the Sean Levy thing too. So there's going to be a John Wick spin-off, supposedly.
The Continental.
All the elements are here. John Wick spin-off. John Wick, good. Anna de Armas starring. Good. It's called Ballerina. And Len Wiseman of...
Wait, so it's not the Continental?
No, there's two things. There's a series being done. Is a TV series, but the Continental. That's
so this
happening
is something
on
else.
One of the streaming, and this is a sort of a spin-off, but it's a female John Wick, and it's Anna de Armas called Ballerina, and Len Wiseman, who did Underworld and who did Kate Beckinsale, and I think that's all good. I think Underworld was good. I thought he did a decent Die Hard movie in there.
I like Anna de Armas, so
yeah. So I find that interesting.
Definitely, based on the Bond film, she definitely has the action movie chops. So,
yeah, and even She was she just in that what the hell? The Gray Man. She was in Gray Man too.
I didn't see that.
Did you guys not see that? That was good.
I saw that.
Anyway.
She was good in that.
I like seeing that. All right. Todd, are you done? You don't have anything else?
I just had one other add-on for Rhode Island. If we're
let me throw my other one in there. And then
I have another thing.
Yeah, okay. So, and maybe this is the same one you have, Dave, but Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd have a new line of Back to the Future merchandise that they've actually released, and it's a website called backtothefuture.shop. They've got some like T-shirts and like long sleeve T-shirts, short sleeve T-shirts. They've got the Marty McFly vest in a signed and unsigned version. They have a Michael J. Fox signed edition for $350 and a regular unsigned for $65. They have hats. They have. I thought the 1.21 gigawatts T-shirt was kind of cool. An Enchantment Under the Sea.
Is it for charity or something, or is it?
I'm not
for their
sure.
own
I didn't get looking at the website.
It's a weird thing.
It's a very odd
It's a weird thing. And they had a signed poster that's sold out now, but signed by the two of them for $500.
That's a lot.
But
you can get them individually for less than that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, cool.
That could be a trend. No NFTs? They're not selling any NFTs?
I didn't see any NFTs of any kind.
I don't get that at all. What did
I 25 years ago, we're going to look at that like Bitcoin.
Yeah, I hope less than that. Yeah. I'm happy I bought Bitcoin at 65,000. I haven't looked at it recently, but I'm just thrilled about that.
We'll put it on a thumb drive and forget about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in Big Bang.
So I have a rant. You're going to go Rhoda. I have. You know what? I have nothing. We talk about the Smartless podcast. Jason Bateman, that other dude, and Sean Hayes, Will Arnett. Is it Will Arnett?
Yeah, it's Will Arnett.
Anyway, great podcast. But a couple weeks ago, they had President Biden on. They were one of a handful of podcasts that were allowed to interview him. You know, we don't talk politics often. I do. He just comes off like a regular good dude. Listen to it if you haven't listened to it. I think he's a good dude. Anyway, that's it.
All right, before Todd does his final Rhode Island thing, I just wanted to mention I watched the Weird Al Yankovic, call it documentary in air quotes. It was really good, and it's not at all what you would expect. It is not a straight up like documentary biopic. It's like a spoof on biopics.
Okay, those are two different things. Okay, we've been down this road before. A documentary is one thing, and a biopic is another.
Okay, so let's not even call it a documentary.
No, it's not a documentary.
So
it's meant to be a biopic, but it's a spoof on a biopic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I can see that.
It does not tell the straight up story of how he came to be Weird Al. It's a very embellished version of it that has a off the rails third act. But there's great cameos in it. Our friend Gordon is actually plays David Bowie in an uncredited moment.
Oh yeah, you said that. Yeah.
It's not at all what I would expect, and I thought it was really funny, and it was free on Roku channel, so you can watch it with commercials for free on Roku channel.
That's where it is.
And Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna was spectacular. So, just saying.
Okay. Is that the one who's just at the show?
No. Evan Rachel Wood.
Rachel was the girl from
Westworld.
Westworld.
Yeah.
Thank God that got canceled.
You know, it's funny. I realized
Todd, finally,
I never even finished that final season of Westworld. It's on my DVR, and now I'm not even going to bother because it's never going to end. Anyway, Todd, tell us about Rhode Island Comic Con.
I did finish it. There's no closure. You'll know less than when you started it.
There wouldn't have been closure if they got a fifth season either. I got news for you.
I totally agree. So it's, you know what it is? It's one of those, you just look at it, it's pretty, you let it wash over you and try not to think about it because there's just nothing. It's not going there. I was just going to say, one of my favorite things from the con was something we didn't get to talk about on Saturday night because it didn't happen until Sunday. And we ran into one of my favorite comic book creators, which is Howard Chaykin. And I've been places before where there was a line to see Howard Chaykin. I've been, and he was just sitting there at this table in the middle of the con. We stopped and talked to him. I think Brian and I were first because Brian and I both were fans of American Flag back in the 80s. And I just mentioned this because I don't believe I've ever met anyone in my entire life who was so precisely what I expected as Howard Chaykin was. He's a caustic, acerbic old dude who's rightfully in many ways, but here's a guy who has been out ahead of almost every single trend and had somebody else capitalize on his ideas and do very, very well on it. And the
one thing he's most known for is the thing that he kind of despises the most, which is the work he did on the Star Wars comic book back in the 70s.
Yeah. Yep. And
yeah, I was right there with you. I was standing with you the whole time.
Oh yeah,
Dave,
no.
At one point, couldn't take it anymore and walked away. But the two of us were.
I heard him say something about, well, when the Frank Miller's Dark Knight came out, and my thing, basically I interpreted like whatever I did was better, but he got all the credit. I'm like,
well, I can say that there is a lot of that, and there's a lot of it's justified. I mean, there's a number of people who've done, like I said, very, very well off things that Howard Chaykin did 3, 5, 10 years earlier, and it's just it is what it is. But anyways, it was very cool meeting him, getting to talk to him. Brian and I each brought one of his sketches from his current series, which is Hey Kids Comics, which is basically Image Comics publishes it. It's kind of a history of the comic book industry, not kind to Stan Lee, and just basically how fictionalized. So it's
and I've heard for years about how he is, and he did not disappoint based on everything I'd ever heard about him.
No, whatsoever.
He reminded me of like an old Jewish uncle of mine. Like it was very much like
yeah,
as he was.
totally.
I'm like, I know this guy. I don't know him, but he's a stereotype of an uncle of mine.
But also owns that, and that was the thing. He was. Very
I found it to be charming in a weird way, and I know
Dave
me
too.
Kind of got put off by it a little bit.
Because again, there's no airs about it.
A blast to talk to.
It was,
and I challenged him on one thing. I pushed back hard because he was pushing on me.
Yep, you did, and again,
yeah, I enjoyed that interaction with him quite a bit. I'm glad you brought it up.
Like I said, one of the more interesting people that we've met, and I found that fascinating.
I just wished I had my Star Wars comic book to have him sign. I didn't even realize he was going to be there.
My collected edition American Flag. If I'd known he was going to be there, I would have carried that around with me all weekend because that would have been great. I've got something else signed by him, but I would love to have gotten that signed. And but the last thing is, Barry, do you remember what he said, that he draws well?
Yes. Well, I remember he said I want to be remembered.
He said, there's four things I draw
I'm really
well.
good at drawing people shooting each other,
walking, talking,
and
shooting, and fucking. Yep. Yep. And so, anyways, like I said, one of my favorite experiences at the con. So,
I'm glad it happened when it happened too. It was a really nice way to sort of end the weekend.
Yep.
So. I don't like an old dude who's sounds like what I'm going to end up being like. So.
There's no question. I got to say, as I get older, I'm appreciating a crusty old dude more. That's all. I'm just saying.
Was a window into your future, Dave.
Yep.
Maybe that's why it bothered you so much.
Podcasters.
Who doesn't bother me?
You're a podcaster. I remember I was podcasting before you were born.
Fanboy Collectibles, lots of stuff.
Good stuff.
Black Series, in stock no less. Black Series Vader and Obi-Wan lightsabers. If you need those, check them out. They have those. There's the Hot Toys new Black Panther. That's there. There's a Koto Bukia Batman statue. That looks cool. Todd, I'm sure you like that one. He's putting a glove on.
Very cool.
Premium format probe droid. Interesting. Big.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Hot Toys Groots from the new Groot little short miniseries. Everyone's must-have, in stock, the Wonder Twins with Gleep, or whatever his name is. I love the Wonder Twins statue. I mean, that's like...
They're awesome.
You gotta love that. So check them out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Or check them out online. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. I just queried Troy today about something.
Yes.
We'll hopefully talk about that next week.
I think I'm coming around on it, by the way.
Well, you better email him.
Yeah, no, I know.
If you want it.
I know.
Okay. So, we also have the Black Panther.
I thought we were going
Barry
to...
saw it. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. We have a new segment. I'm sorry about that. You see, I wrote, and I have a little arrow, and I didn't say that. We have a new segment.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Regular Joe's, the airing of grievances.
The airing of grievances.
Okay. So, it's... Barry wants to air some grievances.
Well, this is also sort of a follow-up to Rhode Island Comic-Con, but, we talked about it at length in the last show. We've talked about it many times. I collect autographs. I enjoy getting autographs at these conventions, and, like everything, it's become a bigger business. The costs keep going up, and we talk about, quite a bit how much people charge and sort of what their level of fame is, and is their price sort of comparable to their levels of success. But on Sunday, because I had not bought anything else at the convention other than autographs, I decided I would maybe go back and get one more autograph. I had sort of scoped it out the day before. I thought that the price that the person was asking, quite honestly, was a little steep for who they are, but I hadn't bought anything else, so I was going to go back. So the actor, I'll call him an actor. The actor's name was Tate Fletcher. He plays Paz Vizsla in Book of Boba Fett. You never see his face. I'm guessing you don't even hear his voice. Probably gets dubbed over by somebody else. But he's sort of the big Mandalorian.
Well, isn't he voice? Doesn't Favreau do the voice?
Yes.
Favreau's the voice.
Oh, you're right. So, okay, so then that even bolsters my argument even more
Jon
here.
Favreau's body double.
Body double. So look, whatever, the guy up. He is sort of the king of the no-name roles. I'm going to read you some of his IMDb entries.
Oh boy.
Breaking Bad is the only one that I saw where he actually had a name. His name was Lester in a few episodes of Breaking Bad. Magnum P.I., he was thug number 3. In Barry...
come beat your ass.
Let him come. In Barry, he was Hank Schoon. In Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, he was the Scorpion recipient. In Westworld, he was a woodcutter. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he was fighter. In The Last Ship, he was immune prisoner. In Jurassic World, he was soldier. And in my favorite, From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, he was big-ass prisoner. This guy wanted $50 for an autograph.
Just going to say, and you were going to pony up money for this guy.
Well, so here's the thing. Most of his people that I would say are sort of on par with him in the Star Wars world at this convention were charging $40 or less. He was charging $50. And I kind of was like, maybe I'll just skip him. I don't really need his autograph. But then on Sunday, I was like, I'll go back and I'll get it. So I go back up there, and I say to the woman, I'd like to get him to sign my poster. And she goes, that'll be $70. And I'm like, what do you mean $70? She's like, well, that's a personal item. He charges $20 more for a personal item. I don't understand. You've paid for photos on your table. That cost you money, and you're going to give me that for free. But the poster that I'm walking up to you with, you're going to charge me $20 more because it's a personal item.
I don't get that at all.
I got autograph from Jason Lee and Rupert Friend, both of which are much bigger caliber actors than him. They were less money than him. So again, you can charge whatever you want. It's an open economy. You can do what you want. I spoke with my wallet. I said, no, I'm not getting it, and I walked away. I just don't understand. Like, at his caliber of who he is and relative to the other people at this show, he is not worth more than Danny Trejo or Jason Lee.
Why does he need to charge more for a personal item? I mean, what kind of thing is that?
Right. I mean, Danny Trejo signed my poster, didn't charge me an upcharge.
Yeah.
Neither did anybody
the
else in the
equivalent,
show.
Barry, of a panhandler. You're holding out a 5 to the panhandler, and he'd say, I really prefer a 10.
Right. So this is the airing of grievances. I'm basically saying F you to Tate Fletcher. Like, it's just not cool. I mean, you missed out on my 50.
Make sure you write that all in the description, Todd.
Yeah, you missed out on my 50, pal. And I would have given you the 50, but I wasn't giving you my 70. Sorry.
50 is ridiculous. Those guys should be 30. And I do think this show, again, of shows in recent years, there were some reasonable prices here.
I thought everybody else I got 9 other autographs. I spent quite a bit of money.
There's some unreasonable, some reasonable.
Most of them were reasonable.
Most reasonable is what I'm trying to say, yeah.
Right. And again, you can't compare people, I realize that, but if somebody like Amy Allen, who like was a Jedi in 2 Star Wars movies, is only charging $40, I'm just saying, like, you know,
she's a tease.
Yeah, well, I know. I don't want to go there. But okay, Rupert Friend.
I knew that.
Rupert
You
Friend
just had to open
Friend.
that door. You just had to open that door.
Apparently, I was
Friend.
chatting her up for 45 minutes. Todd was annoyed by that.
Jason Lee, real actor, less money than $70. Like, it doesn't make any
Rupert
sense.
Friend was what, 60?
$60.
And he's like a real actor. I mean,
And he had a
believe me,
major
I get it.
role in Obi-Wan Kenobi. This guy had a minor role in one episode of Book of Boba Fett. Like,
Yeah, I'm curious about, like we said, you know, like Zach Levi was charging a lot. He was probably charging the most. The few times we were down there was very little activity at his table. I wonder if that's like, I'm not paying that much.
and I just don't know what the logic is, whether you figure, you know, make it up on volume or just charge more and be the highest priced guy at the show. Maybe there's some, you know, maybe that makes him feel good. Who knows? But I just needed to air that grievance. So
There you go.
I'm happy with my
dokie.
one signature.
There you go.
yeah, well, yours was less money and she was way prettier.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, now Black Panther.
Yes,
So we also Black Panther. Barry saw it last night, I believe, right?
I did. Yeah, last night.
I saw it too. A packed house on Friday at the Alamo Draft House. Can't go wrong.
My
Not
Monday
sponsored,
night
but-
6:15 showing was pretty packed.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
How do we
where,
start
do we,
this?
where do we want to start? Todd loved it, I'm sure. So maybe do you want to? And I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying out of the three of us, I
You
would
go ahead.
imagine.
You go ahead, Barry.
All right, I'll start. Yeah, I think that they had a really hard job to do with this movie, given the fact that it's hard to call a movie Black Panther when the actor that's been Black Panther is gone, and you needed to address that. I think that they did a really, really good job of dealing with that. And I thought they told a really good story. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I do, and I said going into it that I thought, based on the runtime, it was too long, and I feel like there was probably 20 minutes that could have come out of this movie, and I think a lot of it would have had to do with the CIA or FBI subplot with the what's her name, the Contessa, and
That,
I don't know,
I
The
don't
Hobbit.
even think you could find 20 minutes to cut out of that.
Well, I'm just saying they could have eliminated all of that. The other thing that I just found very, and I'm sure you'll have a good explanation for it, Todd, but all the stuff with Ironheart
Namor.
felt shoehorned into
Oh.
me. I didn't really, they never even mentioned that name. I don't think I heard the name Ironheart mentioned
didn't,
anywhere
yeah.
in the movie, and I didn't really love her Iron Man suit and how she built it and all and how she knew how to fly it and how she knew how to fight and all that. I didn't really get any of that, and I get we're going to get that in the series, and maybe they didn't want to, but it just felt like it was a little shoehorned into me. But all the
I didn't. It's funny. That didn't bother me.
no.
I
I
get that
really
they-
liked it, but and I think that they did a good job of addressing Chadwick Boseman being gone. I thought that it was really actually moving the whole Marvel logo with just the Chadwick Boseman images and no music or anything. I thought it was really good. I mean, I think that they had a really hard job to accomplish with sort of moving the story forward without him. And I mean, I wasn't surprised at all that Shuri was the next Black Panther, or at least the Black Panther in this movie. Whether she continues on,
Was there
as Black
anything
Panther
in this movie that surprised you, Barry, at all?
from a plot perspective? Not really. I'll tell you what I did kind of like, and it has nothing to do with this movie really, but they show the Avatar trailer before the movie. And I thought that all of the water stuff in this movie was so well done. And I liked that it was murky, and I liked that it wasn't crystal clear blue water. And it was just so juxtaposed to the trailer I had seen before the movie of all this Avatar, way of the water bullshit, whatever, blue, crystal clear water. Like, I actually liked all of the underwater stuff in this movie. I thought they handled it really well. I think this coming out when it did is, in a weird way, going to hurt Avatar. Just because I think people are going to be like, All right, well, I just saw a great movie with a lot of underwater fighting. Like, what makes this so special? I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong about it, but
Yeah, I mean, I too felt it was too long, and I don't mind the long movie. And they did handle the death of Black Panther. I mean, you got it. What are you gonna do? You got to move on. You got to do something. I do feel like, I mean, I think you could have come more than 20 minutes out of this movie. The Namor stuff, to me, that felt more shoehorned in. Like, I mean, I felt like let me give you my backstory. Here's 20 minutes later. I mean, I get you got to give the backstory, but it was like, I felt like that went on and on and on.
Actually, I liked that. And I'll be honest, I don't know. I've never read a single comic that I
don't
can
know
recall
anything about him, and I don't
Namor, so
care what the comics have
I don't
to
know
say,
if it's true or not to the stories of the comics, but I enjoyed that. I liked that there was, like, as an example, when I see a movie like Aquaman, I find it incredibly impossible to believe. When I see this, I'm like, oh, okay, I get how this society could be underwater and nobody knows they're there, and they're keeping to themselves until they feel like they can't keep to themselves anymore because they're being threatened. And they're trying to get the Wakandans to help them because they're a very similar, very private society, and when Wakandans don't want to help them, then that's when sort of all hell breaks loose.
I think they could have tightened that whole thing up. I mean, the Ironheart thing didn't really bother me. I get it.
She just seemed to me like was out of place. Like, I get why she was there, and I understand how she ended up there and why she was there, but I feel like they could have achieved that whole thing of getting them to try to help fend off whoever was coming after the vibranium without the whole Ironheart subplot.
Well, they needed to introduce the character somewhere.
Introduce her in her TV show. Don't introduce her shoehorning her into a movie.
They needed to get out of Wakanda. She was the MacGuffin to get them out of Wakanda. And they could have introduced somebody else creating this thing, but then they would have had to explain why they created this other person and do something with them. So it was they basically killed two birds with one stone.
The one good thing that came out of it for me was that bridge fight scene, which was really great.
Yeah.
I don't know why they killed the mother. That was there are spoilers. Did we mention that?
Okay,
you mentioned it up
to be
front,
clear,
but...
and I've pre-conversed this with Daryl, so Daryl's covered on spoilers. So
yeah, I mean, it's bad enough that T'Challa's dead. Then you got to kill the mother too. I mean, the whole movie was kind of a downer. I mean, okay. I get
so
the guys.
I don't think she could ever assert herself until the mother was gone. Okay, they didn't hand the mantle to her. Her mother became Queen Regent. Okay,
right.
So I think that's why. I think it's the old, the kind of trope that you never...
now that you say it, I wonder if her mother would have quickly gotten her out of the revenge thing.
Put it this way, her mother didn't think she was ready for it, and I think that was the other thing. I'll tell you, one of my favorite elements of this film, and one of the few things I found really, really surprising, was during her dream walk, her encountering Killmonger. And I thought that was perfect, dead on. I mean, she was driven by her anger and her, lust for revenge and all that, and that's who she manifested. And she was in a mind space with him, not her brother, not her father, not her mother. That's who she connected with and should have. And that was a path correction for her that couldn't have happened otherwise. And like I said, obviously they were drawing from who was available to have there, but it could have been her mother. It could have been a number of different things. I thought that was done really, really well, and I thought that was good. It was long. There's no question. I would say, don't use forever in the title of a movie that runs almost 3 hours, because those comparisons are pretty obvious. I don't know where you could have cut it. I also feel like this movie had the disadvantage of starting with a list of things they had to accomplish. And, at a minimum, they had to say goodbye to him. They had to transition. They had to make a viable transition to her as Black Panther. They also had to establish where Wakanda was in the world right now, and then have a threat to it. And all those things were pre-prescribed, and this also closes out the fourth phase. So, I think they're setting up a lot with this movie also. I really hoped to be surprised by something in this movie, and I don't think I really was. I think it was a lot of what I expected.
See, and I didn't feel like they and maybe it was happening and it wasn't as obvious, but I didn't really feel like they were setting up much. I feel like this was a very contained story that didn't seem to set up what's coming next. I mean,
they're shoehorning the stuff they're setting up.
But there wasn't even a scene at the end of it where
Everett Ross, Alexander Allegra, anyways,
whatever,
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. All these things are just pieces that are on the board.
I don't feel okay. We get Shuri's the Black Panther, and I feel like there was too much going on to really push her to the forefront of this. There's the other kid, the Ironheart. There's Namor. There's all the. So, she never got to be. This was not. It was like. It should have been like Black Panther and Friends Wakanda Forever, because she never really came to the forefront to me.
Well, I mean, she did have the battle
except in that final battle with Namor.
Inevitable battle with Namor. And I also, to Namor, the point with Namor, I think they did a good job transitioning him from being Atlantean to being Mayan. And the fundamental problem with Namor right now is, even though Namor came first, Namor and Aquaman have exactly the same origin. Okay? An Atlantean princess mates with a surface dweller. They have a child who's an outcast, who then ultimately becomes the ruler of Atlantis. That is the Aquaman story, and that is the Namor story. The Namor came 2 years before Aquaman. Okay? But Aquaman came to the theaters first, and now people are familiar with this story as the Aquaman story. So they had to do something different. I think tapping into a lost society was an interesting idea. And they went deep into that. I think they were very clever having them be blue when they're above water and flesh tone below water, which I think probably saved them a fortune on makeup and FX, because it was probably really tough to keep that blue makeup on below water, or do the CGI, shift them with that. I thought he was good enough. I think the ankle wings were just a little silly looking.
And they're very easy to rip off.
And apparently very easy. Oh, God, that's got to hurt.
That seemed painful. I agree with you.
Yep. I had a hard time with the nose bone thing. I'm not a big nose guy, thing sticking out of a person. Yeah. And I will say that, they used all this classic Namor look stuff with the wings and the little green trunks and all that kind of stuff. And then they just piled all that other stuff on there, which seemed a little bit odd. But I also, as you guys both said, a lot of people don't know who Namor is, despite being around since 1939. I think this is a fine movie. I think it was very good. I think Black Panther is great, and I don't think this rises to that level.
Yeah, I agree.
No, me either. I will say this, though. Angela Bassett, I know, maybe they ended her character too early for you, but the sequence where Shuri gets taken and they have that discussion where Okoye, however you pronounce her name, she comes back and she's apologizing and expecting to go on the rescue, and that speech Angela Bassett gives where she basically tears her down and takes her title away from her. That was one of the more moving scenes I've seen in a Marvel movie in a long time. That was Angela Bassett is obviously a great actress, but I thought that whole sequence was really, because I didn't necessarily expect that. I thought that she was coming back to give the update and she was going to be, but she's like, I've lost my entire family now. Thanks to you, I've lost my last child. I thought it was really, that maybe surprised me a little bit, but I just thought that it was very powerful.
Yeah. This is also largely a female-led film again, that's not in your face. most.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's definitely not in your face. It's just like it is.
It's like
It's
it's
fine
not a
to
girl
follow.
power thing like everybody lining up in Endgame.
Yeah, like in that. Yeah, that was
Okay.
Like in
And
Endgame.
even what's her face, Lupita comes back, and it all sort of fits together. She looks good in the wetsuit, though.
She does.
Right?
She does.
Yeah, she kicks ass. Her and Denai Guerrero both kick ass.
Yeah.
They're both great in this movie.
And honestly,
I
any one
think
of
that I like the two
those
of them
three could
better
have been
than
Black
Shuri.
Panther. So
Yes, and I actually thought maybe Lupita's character was going to be Black Panther for a half a minute,
yep.
but
Yep.
I don't know. I kind of get stuck on the Ironheart thing. I will say, stumble on this MIT student who happens to be like this amazing genius. She's got Stark stuff going on. Like, where did it all come from? How does it all come together?
And that we're going to get a 6-episode series next year that's going to explain some of that. I will tell you, I like Ironheart as a character a lot. This skips over everything I like about that character. They started her at 19 in the comics. She's 15 years old, and and she's just basically a genius who like is obsessed with Iron Man and basically makes her own very clunky Iron Man suit, but there's a lot more to the story than that, and it's really, really good.
And maybe that's what I was missing, but like the fact that she built the suit, I was fine with. The fact that she knew how to fly it and fight it and could go all the way up to.
But she'd been
height that
she'd
she
been
went
flying
to fight
her
the
own
drone.
makeshift suit before the only difference between what she had built in Chicago / at MIT. The only difference between those two things and the one she built in Wakanda were that she had access to much better materials, and that's why they basically.
I wonder if the series is going to go back.
Yeah, so I think
my point though, Todd, is it's one thing for her to have built the suit because she understands the technology. It's another thing to be a proficient fighter with that suit.
But she'd been doing this. She'd been using her own suit for a long time now.
But but they didn't tell us that in the movie.
They did. They said there's a YouTube channel with sightings of her. They're dedicated just to sightings of her in the suit.
I missed that.
No, that's what I'm saying. So
You went to get popcorn.
So that was the and again, so she had that other the kind of makeshift suit. Again, I hope they go back and do her backstory, because her backstory is really, really good, and it deserves telling. And it's she's got a reason for being that's really good. I will also
the
say
suit that she built in Wakanda also looked very, and this is just for me, very much like there's a Nintendo character named Samus who is a woman in a robot suit, and it looked just he's got the and it looked just like Samus to me.
I think it's great.
I didn't love it.
It's not an Iron Man suit. There's similarities, but it's inspired by, but it's its own thing. It's definitely not as streamlined. It's definitely not the techno-organic thing that Iron Man is doing. This is taking you into, a big studio model making lab and just letting you go wild and taking all your skills and saying, here's unlimited resources. You get 2 days. What can you build? And
I know,
that's how
but
I saw
building
that.
it's one thing. Being so proficient at knowing how to fight in it and being able to fight the way she was fighting,
It's a
just didn't
superhero
work for
movie,
me.
Barry.
Even Tony did that. Too,
But even
though.
Tony did
he
that,
didn't know how to
and-
fly.
Well,
And
no, but
think
they
about
showed
this.
scenes of Tony struggling. They showed scenes of Peter Parker trying to figure out how to use the Iron Man.
But again,
suit.
they had established
Fair
that she
enough.
had her own suit, and she fought previously in her own suit, and you saw that. It's less likely that the suits that Shuri made, those warriors could have climbed into those suits and been as proficient as they were.
I agree with that. With the weird long things on them, I don't get
that
those
I
at
think
all.
would have been a lot more of a challenge. I would have liked to have seen a scene with her training them how to fly.
Unless those suits are basically they just do it all by themselves, and all you are is a passenger in it. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. So
I don't know. It didn't work for me. That part.
Okay. Anyways, I like the Ironheart elements. I think she did a good job of the character. They cast someone who's 25 to play someone who's 19 who should be 15.
Yeah, that girl definitely looked too old.
Yeah, and that's too bad. But she's, like I said, it's a great character who should have a place in the universe, and I'm interested to see what they do more with her. And again, I hope they get into her backstory.
I have a concern that, I mean, like you said, Black Panther was great. This was good. The past two movies, and they're supposed to be big movies, were like, I mean, are we ever going to get a movie that's like, oh my god, this is the greatest movie?
What do you think of the last two movies?
Thor.
Okay, good, because I'd forgotten about Thor already.
Thor kind of not great. This, okay, good, not great. Are the days of like, oh my god,
I hate to say it, I'm not sure that Quantum Mania is going to be much better.
We'll see.
Based on the trailer,
we'll see. You got to
that
get past
trailer
the hair.
Is not
you
doing.
Got to
it
get
for
past
me.
her hair.
It's not only the hair.
No, but forgetting her hair. They showed it on last night at the theater, and I watched it on the big screen where some of those effects should really, full size come to life.
Yeah.
And it just looks like a cutscene from a
I don't
video
know.
game.
Without
most of it.
Without Cap and Iron Man and I don't know. Oh, and even was Doctor Strange like the greatest movie?
I like Doctor Strange significantly more than these two films. So these other two films, honestly, when you said the last two haven't been that great, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to defend Doctor Strange because I really like Doctor Strange, and I was like, oh wait a minute, there was a Thor film in between.
The Thor movie sucked.
It was eminently forgettable.
I'm just like, remember when Infinity War came out? And like, oh my god, there's stuff like, oh shit, I didn't know. We're not getting any of that.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh shit moments like this is awesome.
I would argue there was oh shit moments in Doctor Strange. I think.
Okay, the last two then. I mean,
but these two, yes. I don't think there was anything unexpected other than the tone in the last one, and I think this one, like I said, really was. It wasn't anything other than exactly what I expected. And, there was a few things. And it was done very well. It's a beautifully made film. But
I enjoyed it, but nothing in it blew my mind. Or
honestly,
I remember coming away from the first Black Panther going, holy crap, I didn't expect any of that. And that was
when I saw the big boat, it was like, okay, this is Star Wars. We've never done a sea battle, so now we're gonna do a sea battle. It's like, we haven't fought in the desert, we haven't fought in the jungle.
But you know what? Even on the big boat, some of the camera angles and the way they shot it was really cool, and the way that they were tethering them to the top. It was all really well done.
Squeeze in that venue that they haven't hit before, and it was
and I saw with 5 people. We had 3 20-year-olds with us. And everyone sort of came out a little long. No one was like, "Oh my god, it was great." I'm kind of sad that are we going to ever have another, Infinity War or
I think it's hard to have this long of a run of movies and have it sustain at the level.
I'm
that
just
the
looking
first
for one that's
20
like,
of them did. You know what I mean?
Dave, but I think part of the answer to the question is, who is the we? Because I think they're transitioning past us as an audience. Okay, I think they're building towards their next audience, and that's going to be a younger generation.
Okay, it's not us; it's 20-year-olds, and they feel the same.
No, I know
way.
that, but what I'm saying is they're introducing
my
characters
19-year-old
now
son walked
that
out
10 years from now are
okay.
going to have resonance with the 20-year-olds and the 17-year-olds, and I mean, I went to
What's
see it
been
with
the best Marvel movie in the past since Endgame?
I went to see it with 5 kids between 12 and 14, and I don't think they all thought it was good, but they all basically came up with the same criticisms that we've had. There was nothing we didn't expect to see, and
so if they're not building this for us,
that's
it's not
what
working
I'm saying
for them,
is
the problem.
Is that this may be the plan. I'm not sure that's happening either. So.
Well,
yeah,
and while 181 million opening weekend is a big number,
that's huge.
It's a big number, but it's not as big as the first Black Panther. First Black Panther did 209.
But for this day and age, that's pretty huge. Like you look at Black Adam, that did a third of that.
Yeah.
I think the last Spider-Man was probably the best movie since Endgame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't argue with that. And why is that? Because so much of what was in that movie was nostalgic for us from movies from 20 years ago.
Yeah, but it was surprising, and even though you sort of knew what was coming, they did it in the right way. I don't know.
I have a test group of kids, and I know kids who saw that film who had no orientation to the other two Spider-Man who thought that was fantastic. So,
I just what's next? So Ant-Man is next.
Ant-Man is the next one.
Ant-Man's always good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the first two. But I'm hoping that the whole movie, and I mean, they're telling us based on the trailer and the title that the whole movie is going to take place in the quantum realm, but it seems
that
like
could be
too much.
And
Maria and I were talking about the trailer tonight, and she's even like, how stupid was his daughter that she builds this thing and like that,
yeah.
And then you've got Hope's mom going, "Oh, shut it off! Like, why did you build it? And when did she become such a genius?"
That sequence will not happen the way you saw that in the preview. That totally smacks of it being truncated down to where they can make it like, the explanation in like 5 seconds, and that it's going to be a much more complicated thing. And yeah,
probably. I mean, but are we meant to believe that Cassie turned out to be like this incredible genius scientist too?
No, but I'm saying she'll end up she'll be the one solving the problem that was created somehow, and the solution doesn't work or something. But I'm saying it's not going to be as reckless as it looks there.
They better really bring this Kang guy out, because so far I'm not getting him as the big bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm not getting it at all from any little tiny bits we've seen of him.
I think he looks cool, and I think there's
he looks like a dude in a suit. He doesn't look like anything special.
Didn't know anything about Thanos until we got him on screen, and you know.
That's not true. I knew about Thanos, but Thanos looked impressive. Assuming someone's walking in not knowing anything, I'm hoping they're like, oh my god, look what he could do. Because right now, he doesn't seem impressive at all.
No, and they're going to carry the next in the trailer where Ant-Man is like unraveling. Like, we've actually seen an effect just like that in was it Guardians, or was it? And no, it was in Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time for DC to step up to the plate and take over. I don't know.
Man of Steel 2. Bring it on, baby.
Okay. What's in the box? Let's go there.
Show you in the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Go for it.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, what's in the box, Dave?
Oh. Here's what's in the box. I don't know if you've seen these, but it's the Nerf Aliens Pulse Rifle. First of all, if you haven't gotten it, you still can. Hasbro, this is about, a year ago?
Yeah, they put it up for pre-order like a year ago.
And it's sold out, but GameStop has it. Barry bought his on GameStop.
Yeah, I bought mine on GameStop, and I got mine before Dave even got his when he ordered directly from Hasbro.
I got mine the next day. I ordered 3 of them. I don't know why. One to keep, one to paint, and one to do something else with. But the cool thing is, the counter works, and then as you shoot things, and then when that runs out,
I need one of these.
You've got your grenade.
Wait, with a grenade launcher.
Oh God, I was so okay not owning that.
Me too.
I don't need it. I have no place for it. I need it now.
That was the same way I felt until I saw that I could order it and get it the next day from GameStop.
And then when you take it out and then you put a new gun in, it goes back to 95.
Yeah, it is a pretty impressive Nerf gun. There's no doubt.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah,
and there's already a bunch of YouTube videos on how to modify it and how to paint it to look like a real pulse rifle.
It is a little. I feel like this is oversized.
It's a little oversized in some spots, but not obnoxiously.
Currently unavailable.
No,
on
currently
GameStop.
Unavailable. So.
On the GameStop site?
Yep. Tragic.
Oh wow. Well, keep checking back.
I can maybe give up one.
I think Dave's got 3 of them.
I think Dave, I would take you up on that if you. Yeah.
Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
It's right over there.
Because the 3 of us grown men in our 50s need to have a Nerf gun war with these things next time
think
we
we
get
do.
together.
This is awesome.
That's what I was actually picturing is standing in Dave's backyard and just like.
Yes.
I wish they sold more of these.
The
like
clips,
Yeah.
So.
It's an impressive Nerf gun. And it's
pretty
when
impressive.
you put the 6D batteries in it, it's got some weight. C batteries. Four C batteries.
And
it's
I had
hefty.
to order C batteries because I do not have them.
I had them from camping stuff that I never used. But it's an impressive, and it has real weight to it. It's a cool
It
piece.
totally has. It's surprisingly heavy. And the box is great, too.
Oh my! Yeah, they did an amazing job on the packaging, which toy collectors care about that. Most people throw it in the garbage, and that's the end of it. But they did a great job on the packaging.
Yeah. So I got one here for you. If you want me to mail it, shipping is additional. Shipping and handling. There's handling, too. Shipping and handling is additional. But, no. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, well, it's almost... When we bring yours, we'll have a little Christmas fight. We can do it in the movie theater.
Totally.
We don't have to go out in the snow. Me and Mark used to put the basement and have barricades and we have so many freaking Nerf guns. It's not even funny.
Yeah, we've got a closet full of them here too. But tell Mark I want him to dress up like a xenomorph when we do this, so that we have something to shoot at. Yeah,
We'll work on that.
Start working on that costume.
We'll do that. Okay. So now, Barry, Todd? Let's go, Todd. Todd, what's in the box?
Okay, here's my Nerf gun. No, okay. This is the Hot Toys Captain Carter figure.
Oh.
And
she looks like a cartoon.
No, she doesn't. She's actually pretty good looking.
That's not in a bad way.
No, they did a lot of detail in the face. It doesn't
That is
look like the
actually
way
a pretty good likeness.
She's got good eyes. There's a lot of. I'll take a picture. You're not seeing it on this camera. She has cartoon hair, but other than that, like I said, she's got freckles and stuff, and she's
a little pale. The way it's translating on
camera.
But,
yeah, no, yeah. I'll send you a picture. It looks really good. The costume is terrific. She's got the ebony blade, shield. I'm super happy with this, and I know Barry. It's not the
World War II suit that I want.
Not the pig card that
great.
you want, but I love this thing. And
Show me your butt. I want to see your butt.
She doesn't look like oversized the way she did in the.
No, she is taller than she would be. She is about cap height. Okay, so she's a little taller than she would be, but not like gargantuan. And I think they did a good job in the scale. I think she's going to look. Skinny Steve is going to be half a head shorter than her, and so that so they're making that figure smaller, and then the Hydra Smasher is probably going to be Hulk Blaster size. So
you ordered the Hydra Buster,
I did.
Didn't you?
I'm psyched for that.
Okay.
I'm really psyched for that. I love that thing. I think it's going to look. I'm going to put the Hulk Buster and that together in a case, and I just is kind of facing each other or side by side, and but like I said, I really like it. They did a terrific job with it, and I'm super pleased with it. So
that's cool. Based on what you just showed me, it definitely looks like Haley Atwell's face. It's just with the hair, maybe it's what's throwing me a little bit.
Yeah. And again, I'll get you a close up of the face. They did a good job, and it's got the eyes are really, really good.
But it's supposed to be the What If one, not the Doctor Strange.
No, it is the What If one.
Yes,
it's definitely
right.
the What If one, but because the Doctor Strange one had the newer costume. And again, I'm pleased with it, and I think it's very cool.
So I guess they don't have an issue with getting her rights to her likeness. I don't know why they never did a different Peggy Carter. I mean, they even did. They've done some much more obscure, less important characters than Peggy Carter.
Interesting characters that they've never made over the years, and like Wong. Wong seems like a character that they should have made.
I spoke to Haley, and she doesn't mind them using her likeness, but she's afraid of the abuse that figure will take. So she's sort of trying to not let it happen.
I mean, they did a Maria Hill figure. You'd think they would have done.
This is what I'm saying.
And look what happened. And where is yours now?
Mine is over there.
Were you able to get it out?
She's untouched. Yes.
Sure, she is.
Barry, I still think you should take that head and put it on a stormtrooper. I just,
Totally. Yeah, that could happen. All right, somebody's got to ask me the question.
What's in the box? Barry, what's in the box?
I got a few things, and I think we all have this, so I'll just briefly mention this one, but the Jon Favreau Mandalorian figure.
Yes.
This finally came from Comic-Con, which is just incredibly cool. And I will say, I think that they did a better job on the head sculpt in final product than even the website.
Yep.
Yeah, the head sculpt totally looks like him the way he looks right now.
Yeah, it looks just like him. So
Barry,
this is Paz Vizsla, not that.
I was just going to say, Barry,
Fletcher.
If you had that with you, it would have been awesome to walk up and pull it out and say, "I'd like you to." Oh wait, this isn't you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't need you to sign it. Hey, do you know Jon Favreau? Can I get him to sign it? This is just a quick one. I'm not even going to take it out of the box to show you, but I ordered this on a whim. This was a Halloween figure that they made for Target exclusive. It's a clone trooper done up as a glow-in-the-dark skeleton with a zombie porg. It's just...
Okay.
It was random enough that I had to order it from
It
Target.
is definitely that.
It's kind of crazy.
So
though.
the one Hasbro designer is now leaning to the other and say, "I told you Barry would buy it."
Barry would buy it. And somebody sent me a picture over the weekend. Apparently at Disney they made a clone trooper that looks like a gingerbread man for Christmas, and they're selling it in the Disney parks. So I guess this is a thing now.
Do you remember the stormtrooper with the China pattern on it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I did not buy it.
You did
Thought
not
about
buy
it quite a bit.
Yep.
Thought about it quite a bit. All right, my last two. This is like the Barry buys a bunch of new Hasbro shit week, but
Like, you gonna have anything for next week?
yeah. Oh, I always.
There's
have
always stuff for next
This is
week.
two packs that just shipped of retro carded vintage Star Wars figures. These are 4 of the 6 bounty hunters. It's Boba Fett, Bosk, IG-88, and Dengar. In these boxes, they're actually individually carded like retro vintage figures. So, there you go. Lots of new Hasbro stuff. That's what's in the box.
That's what's in the box. I can't wait for you to take that out of your attic.
I have something
in 5
coming
years and be like,
tomorrow
what
that
did
I
I
will
do?
use
Why
on
did
next
I do
week's
that?
show that you guys are going to get a kick out of.
I have something coming in the next couple of days for next week's show that you're both really going to get a kick out of.
Okay. Todd, the gauntlet's been thrown. You need something cool for next week.
I have several things because you guys didn't have anything for the last few weeks. So I have some things stacked up.
I haven't had anything, and now you just did my other thing, and now I have this other.
Yeah, I know this is time of year we're not supposed to buy stuff for ourselves, but
Yes.
Screw that.
I did send Maria
Mine
a
is
link.
a major award.
Oh, nice.
A major award.
I sent something to I sent a link to Maria the other day for something that I didn't say anything what it was. She goes, "Oh, is this something you either want for your birthday or for Christmas?" And I'm like, well, I guess we'll see. So I'll find out I'm not buying that for myself because it was a little expensive. But if that materializes, that's going to be a pretty awesome what's in the box at some point.
Okay. So that's what's in the box. Yeah. Okay. Any last thoughts?
I have one. So this past week, we lost Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. Just a really good dude. When I was leaving my previous job, my coworker Jason had him record a basically farewell message for me, and he went like way above and beyond. Jason had like prescribed what he wanted, and he really went to town with it. I've seen him at a couple signing events. He always had a huge line, but he always took a long time with people. And this is just for 2 generations. This was the voice of Batman, and he was Batman in the greatest Batman animated series ever, the animated series. Went on to do Justice. He was in Batman Beyond, did Justice League, did numerous movies, did a live action appearance as old Bruce Wayne in one of the crossovers in the Arrowverse. classically trained actor who did, a bunch of different things, was in Dynasty and all these other different shows over the years, but really got into the voice acting thing and found his niche as Batman. And, he was, one of the things that we always argue with Batman actors is them not quite having the voice. I mean, most notably Christian Bale. And there's no question when Kevin Conroy did a Batman voice, he was Batman. But likewise, he had a Bruce Wayne voice, which was very, very different, but also clearly identifiable. And again, it's a huge loss, and been some really, really great tributes to him over the last week.
Yeah. The public outpouring on social media was really, I thought, impressive and worthy. He was worthy of it.
Mark Hamill, who worked with him for several years, playing the Joker on that same series, said that he loved him like a brother, and was just reeling from the loss. And like I said, a lot of really nice things written about him, but it was just, like I said, sad loss, far too soon. He was only 66, and he will most certainly be missed. So,
yes, rest in peace. Okie dokie. Next week, what are we doing?
I don't know. I was wondering if we have not talked about Andor since like episode 3. I was wondering if we wanted to talk about it because it'll be the second to last tomorrow night is the second to last episode. So we would be talking about it just before the finale aired, and maybe talk about.
Or we could record after the finale. Either way,
we could do that too. But I don't know. Part of me was wondering if we wanted to maybe try to speculate about how we thought it would end, and then see if we were right or not. But I don't know. There's a lot has happened since the last time we talked about it, and I don't really have. Even though we spent a bunch of time together in Rhode Island, we didn't really talk a lot about.
No, we didn't.
The show. So
we didn't.
I don't know where you guys' heads are at on it. If you're enjoying it still or not enjoying it or whatever. But
I'd asked if you guys are watching The Peripheral. Have either?
Someone else asked me that, and I answered, "Is it good?" And you didn't answer.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Sorry.
Is it good?
It's very good. And Sean recommended it. I had a couple of people recommend it. I'm now about 3 episodes in, and I'm super impressed with this thing.
It's weekly though, right?
It's weekly. There's five episodes dropped. But if you guys could check out the first episode, because you get a good idea what it is in the first episode, but you don't know what it is. But you still get a sense of the effort that went into the production, and Chloe Grace Moretz is the lead. I never thought she'd do anything better than being Hit Girl in
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass, but boy,
Yeah.
she's really good.
I could check out that.
And
I checked out the Sylvester Stallone Tulsa King.
did you?
Of course you did.
I read an article in the Hollywood Reporter about him. It's not bad. There's a little bit of humor to it. It's I'll go back to it.
Okay.
So
I'm
not
about to have
recommending
house
it to
guests
you guys.
here for Thanksgiving, which is going to make me trying to watch anything very difficult because my living room is about to be commandeered.
Yep.
But
You have a whole TV setup right there.
well,
behind you.
I do. I know I have down here. I'm going to end up hiding out down here quite a bit until my house guests are gone. So
Yep. Definitely check it out, though.
There you go.
It's like I said, I was kind of pushed into it, and it's one of these, I'm very resistant when people tell me I have to watch something, and I was.
yeah, have you watched?
Well, you want to go down the
Ted
list?
Lasso? How's
Ted
Ted
Lasso,
Lasso
yeah.
On the
coming?
list. Ted Lasso. There's a few other things, but I did.
I think we have to
did
tell them
cave.
not to watch things.
Yeah, you got to tell me don't waste your time with this. And also remember, I'm like a week and a half now of dosing on NyQuil every single night, so my TV viewing is down at about 20%. So
Which means only like 10 hours.
exactly,
a day.
only 10 hours a day. So, but again, this is very good, and I think it's definitely worth watching, and I hope they keep up the pace that they have. It's on Prime, and they're doing good with it.
Cool. We'll check it out. All right. We'll figure out something for next week. We won't disappoint you. It's almost Thanksgiving, everybody. Scary as that is. That means we're like 40 days till the
Close.
holidays.
Yeah,
Or at least
we're close.
Close. Oy. Anyway, all right. More next week, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.